of my presentation. That's fine, sir. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to leave the floor to our next panelists, Professor Mehmet Zeykal, Cengiz Toraman, and Professor Hüseyin Altay will deliver a presentation together on a very interesting topic, military organizations structure in the IT age. They will make recommendations from an IT perspective. The floor is yours.
Şimdi öğreneceğim. Çünkü
I'm curious how they will present, because this is the joint study of the three professors. The floor is yours, professors. Professor Cengiz,
sesimiz geliyor mu acaba?
can you hear me?
Mehmet Zerka hocam,
Professor Mehmet Zeykal, Mr. Hussein,
Oğuzhan Bey sesim geliyor mu?
can you hear me, Mr. Osan? Yes, Professor, I can hear you. Professor Cengiz, we have been waiting for you. The floor is yours, sir. This is your time for presentation now. Hello.
Buyurun lütfen.
Mr. Chair, can I start? Please go ahead. Thank you very much. I would like to share my screen now.
Benim konuşmam bilişim çağında
Organizational structures in military organizations in information age, recommendations from the management and organization perspective. That's the title of my presentation. I will try to respect the time limit and complete my speech on time, God willing. As you will acknowledge, organizations change depending on the changes taking place in the outside world, and that's inevitable for military organizations as well. Also, the horizontal organization is the sort of organizational type spearheaded by militaries as an interesting fact. And here, the tools, instruments, and perspectives of organizations are changed due to these developments. Even the war doctrine of the military organizations get varied over time due to such changes. These revolutionary changes in the military organizations make these differentiations more discernible, as stated by Fukuyama in his various activities. These radical changes take place in military organizations considering the technological weapons in the First and Second World Wars, which introduced new innovations to militaries and new war tactics and tools that are not used by the enemy, have been the guarantors of success for the armies. When we speak in today's terms, we talk about the digital transformation or information age to refer to these developments. So these developments accelerate militaries to usher in changes, and they have a bigger change concerning the interaction between humans and machines. Coordination-wise, many employees do not need to be working at the same place, but rather do it remotely. Based on technological changes, organizations can control more people through their leaders, and most of the time, artificial intelligence, in fact, coordinates these people, so they replace people. Chatbots can be seen as an example of it. Thanks to the developed algorithms, they can, for example, make purchases, or they can sell stocks in stock exchange. Such technological changes have an impact on stock controls, GPIs, applications, and the locationing of organizations, impacting them in a wide spectrum. So a lot of businesses can continue their operations at a low cost. Such technological transformations enable decision makers to act more quickly and establish right communications with the societal segments. And they are important part of the corporate strategies. So these changes and the differentiations on organizational structures can be elaborated on as such. When we look at organizations and their structures, there is no single consensus regarding their definition. However, we can refer to the studies on their structures uh, by by certain elements, through certain elements. And when you look at this chart, you see that organizations are related to their peripheries and they have a regularly coordinated events, and their efficiency and effectivity require expertise, and they need to have written instructions. Uh, they have this formality level, and they are able to use technical and social tools which help overcome the complex structure of the society. The organizational structure comes into shape after certain organizations. They are a network of relationships, and here an organization is similar to an anatomy of a creature. We look at the organization from a general perspective, and here we emphasize that the complexity influences its structure. The organizational, the environment and the context also impacts the organization's age. When we look at the elements shaping the organizational structures, we first see, of course, the administrators or managers. And organization cannot be thought independently of the founder or the ideologies behind that. Organizational structure is primarily influenced by the leader, and depending on the size and target strategies of the organization, other factors come into play as well. When we look at the order of significance, it is not an easy feat. And here, technology and environment has also an importance we cannot ignore. When we look at the impact of the environment on organizational structures, we see plenty of studies. Different environments have different impacts on the sort of on organizations in terms of where they operate. Here, one of the important elements, as we previously stated, is technology. Technology generally is defined as technical tools or ideas that enable inputs to be transformed into products. So here we know that they also impact management technologies. Organizations are also social technical systems. So technology has an impact of organizational structure in terms of their essence. And there are many applied and theoretical studies in the literature referring to that aspect of technology. Currently, organizations or entities turn into turn to a network organization or horizontal structure. Due to such changes, military organizations specifically are shaped by the technological development uh, in the sense that these military organizations adopt a horizontal structure like the businesses or other organizations. In the past, they were gigantic organizations. Uh, they did not have any competitive nature, and it was almost impossible to usher in change as they would show great reaction. However, today's businesses act more horizontally due to information technologies, increasing their productivity, and the hierarchical steps, as the figure shows, has been decreased. Why do organizations get flatter or more horizontal with fewer layers? The professionals working in these businesses can take their own decisions. Decision-making mechanisms uh, moved away from centralization as the traditional businesses require, and this means easier access to information with much easier dissemination of information, and people in different locations can come together thanks to technological means. We can refer to online meetings as an example. Throughout the pandemic, students and teachers came together as we are doing right now on a virtual platform. So self-managing groups, WhatsApp groups, or other working groups are examples which mean that the middle layers are removed in organizational structures, making them look like more horizontal. Military and defense technologies also change with technology. We are talking about drone wars today. We are talking about non unmanned vehicles, and drones redefine everything. And here dehumanization of these instruments mean that wars acquire different forms and the balance of power change in an extraordinary way. Unmanned aerial vehicles are used by people who can put everyone at fence, keep everyone at fence, or keep everyone at bay with a single touch on the button. Internet technology enables information to be disseminated or shared or expressed very easily. The internet the internet also decreases the proxy costs, and here enterprises need to ensure that they achieve these digital transformations with robots, mobile applications, etc. So the formation of these new units represent the visible aspect of technological transformation. World Wide Web played a major role in such transformation. As for the communication with internal units of organization and access to outputs from these units uh, are possible through internet technologies, collecting the information processing and dissemination also gain speed. These changes in digital developments led to important changes in the organization's costs as well. Uh, the operational costs declined very quickly as sending an email from one part of the world to another takes place in seconds. Technology also enables one to access the most quality product on the other end of the world, communicate with working groups, and also adjust coordination accordingly. That applies to military groups as well, as they can communicate, share documents with different troops on different parts of the world. Another advantage is decreasing the number of mistakes thanks to digital technology. Here, the information and documents are exchanged from the highest point in the hierarchy to the lowest unit with such perfection, and digital technologies enable these organizations to resort to outsourcing as well. Let's look at outsourcing and core competencies of the organizations. Here, core competencies and outsourcing are very critical. We talk about core talents or core skills, which set any organization apart from its competition. referring to all the talents, information, and competencies. So when an organization focuses on these core elements, it will be all the more stronger. Uh, in information technologies, we see the facilitation of information sharing between organizational units. When the information is disseminated as a core competence, that makes the organization superior to other competition. And here, businesses, thanks to this information technology, can achieve, harness certain capabilities. For a capability to be considered as a core talent, it should uh, enable the company to provide more benefits to the customers than others. Can you wrap up, Professor Cengiz? Of course, sir. American Army, when viewed regarding its core skills, you see combined weapon maneuver or wide range security, wide area security, or support security cooperation, or tailoring forces for the combatant commander, or supporting joint and army forces, as well as supporting domestic civil authorities. In virtual organizations, these uh, these are the sort of organizations that benefit from outside functions and resources, internal network and external virtual organizations are the extensions or examples of this type of organization. When we heard from the military structure in the United States or military industry, we can move on to horizontal military organizations, and they are the most well-known examples of hierarchical organizations. And here we can say that this horizontalization became visible in the army before then the enterprises as we know it, as it decreases costs, leaves the room for, removes the room for error, etc., etc. I have already referred to them. So the changes in the information technology enabled the traditional hierarchical structures to more horizontal and decentralized organizations. Also, the information moved through the layers of organization faster, and the horizontal structure organization have spread to other businesses or enterprises as we know it. Based on technological novelties and developments, they have updated themselves. Currently, they moved from these traditional structure to horizontal structures, and they came to understand that they need to use outsourcing. So these technological changes turned these organizations into agile ones. Of course, all this refers to a new threat area, which is about information security. And in that sense, organizations need to take significant decisions and also shoulder important responsibilities. Thank you very much for your attention.
Hocam biz çok teşekkür ediyoruz.
Professor Cengiz, thank you for this beautiful presentation. Now, sir,